Check, check. Okay, okay. Okay, hello everybody. How are y'all doing? I'm so full. I'm so happy to see so many incredible people in the room. Are y'all ready for a good conversation? Are y'all ready for some connection? Okay, so before I read Cece's bio, I just want to let y'all know that divine timing and the divine intervention, it be doing this thing. A couple years ago, I met Cece. I was taking a workshop just to sharpen up on my artistry, sharpen up on my artist statement, my bios, and just figuring out like who is Robin, who is Heartthrob, who is the founder of Her Set Her Sound. And when listening, it was a part of the workshop where you had to read your artist statement. And when I heard Cece's artist statement, I'm like, I don't know this girl, but I need to know her because she's over here calling herself a found her, a creates her, multidimensional, multidisciplined. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I know something's going to happen. And so, I want to say maybe sometime last year, I just reached out, like, I just want to connect. And we've just been keeping in touch, following each other, checking in literally every now and then. And I'll be honest with y'all, in planning for the 5th annual Her Set Her Sound Festival, make some noise for that. Cece was on my mind. I had one of my development people be like, you need to do something with her where you really amplify her. This person is in Mexico City. I had her on a list, and she was like, she's the one. And I knew she was the one. But, sometimes you need a reminder. Sometimes you need somebody to be like, hey, you need to circle back. And so, really, I want to thank Melissa Taylor and the Fayetteville Public Library for taking in this idea to amplify her story because, Melissa has allowed me to moderate conversations with some very influential and impactful people. But I said, you know what, I'm gonna take charge this time. And so I'm gonna read Cece's bio because I know some of y'all are just now getting familiar with her, and I'm telling you now, she's a mover and shaker. She's somebody that you need to know. So I'm gonna be using my phone, but you know what? We started on time today, so yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay. So you know, cause y'all know this. I know it started at 6, but we said 6:30, and here we are at 6:33. Okay. So, Cece Mercer Watson is a magnetic gem from the natural state. She has a kaleidoscope of talent that includes being a textile artist, an actor, an activist, a poet, a playwright, a published author who is the writer of A Love Story Waiting to Happen, Butterfly Typeface Publishing, and From Cotton to Silk, The Magic of Black Hair. She's a found her, an executive director of A Black Space, a nonprofit that serves and liberates Black folks through culture bearing, oral tradition, ancestral craft, design and consultation, and lead designer and merchant of Mercer Textile Mercantile, a fiber business that merges farm to fashion and fine art, which expresses current and evolving Black culture. Those passions being a conduit for uplifting voices of color and making marginalized populations visible. I'm gonna read her whole thing because y'all, it's a lot and y'all need to know, okay? She holds a BA in Theater Arts and Dance from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock and is a graduate of the Clinton School with a master's in public service. She has performed on international stages in theater houses, recites poetry, and she has exhibited work, the Studio Accra, in Ghana, yes she did, SOO Visual Arts Center in Minneapolis, the Thea Foundation in North Little Rock, and at M2 Gallery in Little Rock, where her visual art career is represented. A dedicated public servant, a woman of many creative talents, and the daughter of legendary late civil rights lawyer, attorney Christopher C. Mercer Jr., she honors the legacy of her father by using artistic mediums as a tool for empowerment, education, and radical justice. Her maiden name, Mercer, means a merchant in textiles, and she is a textile maven. Before us is her work. and her work was just on the roll earlier. She stitches hours and hours and hours. Oh, that's what it says. Stitching by hand thousands of hours a year. Watson, at her core, is a storyteller and a keeper of culture. She is holding the belief that Arkansas can be a cultural mecca of the South, universally unifying our history and healing, and that she can be a keeper of that story too. In every thread of her being, she is weaving a tapestry of her ancestors, draped in Afrofuturism. So I need y'all to give it up for Cece Mercer Watson. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you all so much for spending your Thursday evening with us. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you to the library. It was worth the 3-hour drive. I'm so grateful to be before you today.
Well, we're grateful because I'm ready to learn some more. I after conversations and doing some research, I said, you ain't tell me all that. You did not tell me all this, but we're going to get into it. So y'all probably don't know, but what I like to do, I'm like Robin Jordan with Andy Cohen in my head. So we're going to do some games, and the first one is going to be Fast Facts. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to think the first thing that comes to mind, whether it's one word, 2 words. I just want to hear what you say, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so birth town.
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Nickname.
Cece.
Date of birth.
August 21st, 1983.
Ooh, uh-huh. Okay, where my August babies at? Yep.
Yes.
In the building. Zodiac sign that resonates with you most.
Sagittarius, because that's my husband's sign.
That's cute. That's real cute.
But I'm a Leo, so, you know.
It's fiery.
We share.
It's fiery up in here. Bless it. Any siblings?
I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. I'm number 8 of 9.
Ooh.
I'm a late in life child.
Ooh.
And I was the favorite.
Ooh. And 8 is a beautiful, you know what 8 stands for?
Yes.
Abundance.
Yes. And my father passed when he was 88. So it really resonates with me.
Wow.
Yeah. I know that was more than a fast fact. That was like a slow fact, but y'all needed that a little bit.
Indeed. That was a deep one. Wow. Favorite art practice? I'm doing it. I said
it's hard.
I
do so much.
I know. Or top 2, top 3.
Okay, if I could say the top 2. Hello, welcome. Hey, yes. Okay, look, everybody's in the building.
Yes, they are.
Top 2 is poetry and stitching, because I started as a poet and I discovered more of stories that I wanted to tell as a fiber artist, but they are together. I can't separate them. So those would be the top 2, poetry and stitching.
It's beautiful. I love that. Favorite candy?
I'm not really a candy girl.
Or favorite sweet?
But if I had to choose one, though, I'm going to take it back. M&M's, because my dad used to slip me M&M's, like before and after a show when I was doing theater a lot. So that would be my favorite.
With the peanuts or without?
Either. I wasn't picky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We like an M&M.
Yeah.
Chocolate in a manner. Favorite holiday?
Juneteenth.
Oh.
Easy.
Oh, I wasn't it. Yes. Yes. Okay. Period. Strongest art practice?
Again, she got me, y'all. I'm going to say right now today, because it's getting the most visibility, is the fiber art. But I'm always writing with it, so people return to the fact that I'm a poet. But I would put the textiles first. That's the strongest. Today. Who knows what I'm going to do tomorrow?
It could change. It could change. Very beautiful. Couple more.
Okay.
Last book you read?
Year of the Witching.
Oh.
And it was a phenomenal story. A lot of civil rights undertones in a medieval world. There was magic and spells and retribution. So, I mean, it was a good read.
I need that. I need that. Um, how many hours of sleep do you get daily?
Um, somewhere between 3 to 6. It depends on what I'm working on. Like right now, if I really want to like rest, I'll sleep for like 6 hours. But if I got something to do, then it might be 3 or 4 hours.
CC.
I know it's not really cute, but I'm in the middle of. I need to sleep more. It's just not the season for sleep, and I rest in other ways, even if
Okay.
it's not sleep.
Okay. Bless
Yes.
it. Bless it.
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, because you're in between a project, I know you're stitching.
Yes.
How many hours a day are you stitching? Or a week?
Oh well, week it varies, but maybe a day somewhere between 12 and 16 a day.
Committed. Determined. Determined. Okay, last one, whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
The South got something to say.
Yes, she does.
I love that. I love that.
Yes, she does.
Well, I appreciate you for playing with me for a second.
Yeah, that was good. Y'all give it up for Robin with these. I know.
We're just getting started.
That was cute. I like that.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
I love that.
Okay, so let's get into it. So
Yes.
you said that your first art practice was poetry.
Yes.
So tell me, like, where were you? How old were you? And how did you connect with poetry?
I was 7, on the verge of being 8, in my 3rd grade class at Geyer Springs Elementary. Miss Gingrich was my teacher, and we were doing a unit on haikus. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. It's so simple. And believe it or not, I was a really extremely, even sometimes now, I get a little shy, but as a kid, I was very, very shy. I only talked to like friends and, family, close family. So poetry was a way for me to express myself without talking to people. I loved it so much. The South had something to say, and so did I, even at that age. So I just wrote haikus. I wish I knew where that notebook was, because I could have been the next Sonia Sanchez at like 8 or 9 years old. But I wrote like haikus for a good year and a half after I learned that in the 3rd grade. And then it started to expand as I learned other styles.
How did Little Rock shape your art practice from poetry and beyond growing up?
I am so Little Rock. Now, I love everywhere I go because I believe that I'm at home in my skin mostly, so I'm not really affected by being somewhere else and feeling like that longing of being somewhere else. But Little Rock literally made me. I feel that all of the historical ties, not just my family ties with my father's legacy and growing up the way that I did, but like I grew up in a blood neighborhood. I'm not a blood, but hey, on the suit, wherever y'all, whatever you repping on your set. I grew up in a blood neighborhood. There was a lot of gang violence. There was, all of those typical things where you think somebody will get caught up. But there was this realization of where I was at, and also this divine shield of protection. Like everywhere I went, I was safe, even growing up in spaces that weren't deemed as safe, but it was a part of my environment. I felt like I understood more of the world. It's where I was most inspired. All of the things that I wrote or drew or started cutting up and stitching when I was younger, like a teenager, it was the place where I can't say I found myself, but I got to understand who I was. Like my placenta is probably in the ground somewhere. Like I am tied to Little Rock. Like Little Rock will always be home. And even now, the work that I'm making, it's like I just want to tell all these stories. I have so many stories that I have to tell. And people are like, oh, we've heard about the Little Rock Nine. No, you haven't. It's deep. It's deeper than what we've read in a book. It's deeper than what we've seen on television or the clips of interviews. There are so many stories to tell about my father's house being firebombed during 1957. When my siblings, because, I'm a late in life child, like even now how noise and crowds, not only the Little Rock Nine, but my siblings, like the noise, they don't like being around the noise because of all of the mob violence. Like that's a story that I get to tell because it happened in the place where I was born. So Little Rock has indeed shaped me, and it's still shaping me because I'm not ashamed of where I'm from. People think I'm tipping cows in Little Rock. They don't know nothing about Arkansas. They don't know nothing about our state, right? They think we tipping cows. They think we just sitting on the porch chewing straw. I'm like, what do you think this is? Like, we live in a capital city in Little Rock. We live in a state with industry. We're here in Northwest Arkansas. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of creativity. And I get to say that I was born in a place where things happen. So it's still shaping me, and I hope that as I continue to grow in my practice, that home is always a part of my work.
You know, I had another question queued up, but I think that right now is a good segue to talk about your experiences with your father and what you inherited, but also the stories, how those type of stories impacted you. So if y'all don't know, and I'm just gonna scratch the surface.
Come on,
This
scratch
is your
it.
father, okay?
Come on,
So you can
scratch.
talk better than I could ever. But attorney Christopher C. Mercer Jr. Was the advisor to Daisy Bates, who was the mentor to the Little Rock Nine. He not only played a pivotal role. He was the secretary of the NAACP, but also was one of the 6 pioneers at the University of Arkansas. So one of the first, actually the third, African American to attend the School of Law at the University of Arkansas. And so having that downloaded in your DNA, what has your experience been like with your father, but also knowing what he's been through? And if you want to speak on some of the things that he's been through, I would love to hear his story and your story as well.
Thank you for that question and acknowledging my father, who's very important to me. I am named for him. Now, I do have my brother right above me is also Christopher C. Mercer. He's the third. So I'm really the fourth in the line of CCs. And had I been a son after 21 years of not having a baby, I probably would have been Christopher Columbus Mercer Jr. My grandmother was Choctaw. She said she was right and wrong. So that's why she named my father Christopher Columbus. And she did that. I was like, girl, you bold. In the 20s in Pine Bluff, are you serious? Bold. So that's what my father taught me. First of all, he was born into a bold name. That is quite the name when you think about the history that's associated with Christopher Columbus, who sailed the ocean blue in 1492. But he got lost though. He didn't have his GPS. He started lying. That's a whole nother program, but he was doing too much. So my grandmother, this was her, well, she had some stillborns, and then my father was her first son that she carried to term and was born healthy, and then had one more baby after that, my Uncle Harry, who passed away before I was born. My father taught me how to survive with grace. He taught me how to hold on to my dignity because he was in a lot of situations where people literally tried to strip his dignity from him because he was a black man, because he was an educated man, because as he tells it, he wasn't afraid of anything that walks, swims, or flies.
Period.
So
No
that
fear. No fear.
intimidated people. And that he didn't have to be braggadocious or bold or forceful about it. He just moved in the way that he moved. So he was like a quiet storm. There was something very mysterious about my father's power that I got to observe as his daughter and as someone who knew he was respected in the community. During the time he was here in Fayetteville, and it gives me chills because he came to Fayetteville in 1949 when he entered school. And it was not a warm reception, which is why I am so grateful that Robin, the library, all the people who have extended themselves to me. In the last couple of years, I've been kind of dipping in and out of the NWA. It's just been a warmer reception. And I wish my father had experienced that when he came here to go to school. He couldn't stay on campus. He couldn't go to any events. He couldn't be on campus after sundown. It happened here too. It wasn't just in the sticks. He couldn't fully participate in a world that he had every right to be a part of. And even getting a little bit of his foot in the door, he was still rejected and handled it with grace. Graduated, became an attorney, got his law license on May 17, 1954. And if there's any history buffs out there, you know what date that is. If you don't know, I'm going to go and tell you. You won't play no guessing game.
Go ahead.
It was when the Supreme Court ruled on Brown versus the Board of Education. That's the energy he carries in him. And I just got to watch it every day. I got to wake up, watch him put his suit on, watch him put his white tie on, his tie tag, his cufflinks, get his leather attaché, whatever hat he was feeling, Kangol, fedora, whatever he was feeling, he was sharp. Oh, he was so sharp. And I just got to experience a gentleman. And I'm happy that a gentleman raised me, that he made me, and that even now to this day, my father passed in November of 2012, and everywhere, for people who know the Mercer name and who knew my father, everywhere I go, from the day he passed on, people have something nice to say about my father. And to me, that is the mark of a life well lived. So my father taught me how to live. And he's still teaching me that in this iteration of our relationship, because we're still close, and now he's teaching me about legacy. So I don't have to live 88 years to know that right now in my 40s, I want to leave something worth leaving behind, because that's what he did for me. So that's what I'm doing in my art, and I wish he knew this part of me. He knew I was a poet because I started so young, and I was telling my husband on the way up here that my father, like in the last few months of his life, he said that I had the personality and the disposition to inspire people. And then shortly after he passed, this was something I didn't know, he had a conversation with one of his friends who told me it was none of my business. It wasn't my conversation. But he said, your father told me my daughter is brilliant, and not because she's mine, because she is. And that's just been sitting with me ever since he passed, because that's all he's ever showed me was his excellence and his brilliance. So, I could talk for the rest of the year about my daddy. He's such an amazing person, but truly an inspiration. And one more nod to my husband, because he's in here, just doing all the husband things. Because Quincy knew my father, I felt like I could marry him. I don't know if I could be with anybody who didn't understand how deep our relationship was and how much he meant to me. It would be hard for me to be explaining that to somebody for the rest of my life. And Quincy used to come see us at the hospital. He would bring me snacks. He would come sit with me and just make sure I was okay. And that was like a very pivotal time in our friendship, to just be there when something like that was happening. So it felt like a good passing of the baton, to be raised by one gentleman and to be loved by another. So very happy for that. Y'all can't say I love my husband too. Yes.
I know that's right. Thank you for sharing that. Really am grateful again that you are here to really represent who your father is and was. You said in your bio that you honor his legacy. And I'm curious, and you've shared so much, but how do you believe you honor his legacy in the work that you do?
Everywhere I go, I'm talking about my daddy.
Yeah.
You can Google me or you can Google him, and you're going to see us, okay? That's number one.
Yeah.
Also, my youngest brother, and most of my siblings have children, but since I was a late in life child, I was an auntie when I was born. So now I'm on the end where, my nieces and nephews who had children, their children have children. So now I'm like a real auntie. It's like young people coming up. For them to know who my father is, as a part of their legacy, and them knowing their history, honoring that. And then just in my work, because it is very Black. It is very social justice, civil rights focused. It is very focused on, even as you read, marginalized populations being visible. That we have a right to exist without being eroded and excavated for our brilliance. And so that's how I honor my father as well, because he came across a lot of obstacles that presented themselves, that forced themselves, that did anything to be in his way, and he just moved them. It's like you can't even stop what I'm doing. So that's the spirit that I have when I approach work, because I'm trying to get us to wherever it is we are supposed to be. And I know that that's what he was doing with his legal education. He taught school, he was a principal. He's like, the only way I can move people forward for him was the law. Like, laws needed to change. So he wanted to be a lawyer in order for that to happen. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm an artist, and I know that that moves people as well. So I'm using my art to move people and make those changes. It's like the same difference, you know? Yes. So that's how I honor him, by just putting him in everything that I do.
I love that. I love that. That resonates with me so deeply, and I see you as an example and as somebody that I'm very inspired by. So I am curious, just kind of like to shift. What projects are you most proud of at this point in your career?
Well, there's so many, but I'll start with like the top of mine ones.
Okay.
On my father's birthday, which was March 27th, he would have been 101 years old. I opened an exhibition at Mosaic Templars Cultural Center called It Was Written in the Stars. And it's the journey of African people from the Middle Passage to the cosmos and beyond. And the first quilt, when you walk into the space, is of my father and my siblings, all of us on there. It's a lot. I was like, why did I do all these faces? Should have just did me and him, but you know, that ain't how I roll. Let's put everybody on here. And there is a 17-foot white tie. He was iconic for the white ties that he wore with his suit. And just like imagining him as the sun, as this celestial body, and walking in, and that's the first thing you see in this space. Like, I'm most proud that I got to put him on some work, because it was something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And my work is very feminine, but I've started to open up to the possibility of just like including the whole of the family. And that's with Quincy. I wasn't stitching as much before we got together. Like, his love allows my art to bloom, and I'm very proud of that work, because I legitimately took over the whole house to stitch all this, and I'm thankful that he just walked around when I was doing.
Come on, support, yes.
I'm also proud of the current work that I'm working on, because I'm, like I said, top of mind because I'm in it. So I have another solo show opening May 10th at the Sioux Visual Arts Center, SUVAC, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's called The Road Less Traveled, an Ode to the Green Book. We will be driving that 13 hours there. It get real around Iowa, because we drove it last year, and I'm like, ooh, let's get out of here. Let's put the gas on. And this yellow brick road is going to be going there as a part of this work. So I'm glad that I get to share it with y'all here now. But I'm proud of it because I'm just coming off an exhibition, and I'm stitching this work, and it's so different. And I can't believe my mind can do that. Well, I can.
Got to.
But it's like, wow. I went from like North Star Goddess and Sirens of the Southwest and all these mermaids and all of these star people to like Harriet Tubman pointing her gun. And a piece that I have that I really love called An Evening Swim. Could be in the ocean, thrown overboard. Could be taking a midnight dip in a pool at a hotel where you weren't allowed to use the amenities. Could be anything. But I'm like, whoa, the shift just makes my heart happy that I can go there.
Yeah. I want you to talk about two things. So I want them to understand what this yellow brick road is, and where this was used and what inspired this.
I'm obsessed with the Wiz. I have a yellow brick road tattooed on my foot. Okay, it's real life over here. And I couldn't get married without walking down the yellow brick road. Like, it's just, It wasn't going to be a wedding without this. So Quincy and I have been married for a year and a half. It's very fresh. It's very lovely, very newlywedish. And I was just thinking, I was actually looking because for our wedding, I gifted him a quilt There was like an image of us and some other symbolic things, and like that was my wedding gift to him. So I really just didn't want to be stitching and being a bride, and I didn't want to be a corpse bride, but also I've got to be me. So I was stitching the day before the weddings on this quilt. And I was like, we're going to take it to the rehearsal. And I just prayed that it's enough. I didn't even have all the bricks that I had cut and made. This is like individual bricks. So every brick you see, there's another brick underneath it because I faced it with quilting backing. And then I stitched each one to the next one until I made a row. And then I made another row. And then I stitched those rows together. And this was going on for months. Like, I was just cutting and pinning and stitching for months. I didn't think it was going to end, and it almost didn't. Yeah. But it happened to be just enough. I think what's really special about this, The Wiz is my favorite story. Wizard of Oz, it was the first play that I saw was The Wiz. The Wizard of Oz was one of the first books I read, and the Bible, and Roots. It was a real eclectic upbringing. Wow. My dad and Alex Haley were friends, so Roots was on it. They skipped some parts because I was like 4, but Wow.
You for real?
No, I'm for real. My dad and Alex. Well, George Haley is Alex Haley's brother, and they fought, until my dad died. So Uncle George, as I call him, they fought about who was really the third student because Uncle George said, "Well, my last name is Haley, so H come before M." But then my daddy said, I got to campus before you. So really, what's up? And then this just went on into the end. But it was playful banter about who was the third student. So 3 or 4, 4 or 3, that's what they were on, but yeah, they were really friends, which is a beautiful thing. Of course, I didn't get a chance to meet him because he passed before I was born. But this Yellow Brick Road is just a symbolism of our journey. The Wiz is like the ultimate hero's journey. It's 70s, it's celestial, it's all the things I love. It's Michael Jackson, it's Diana Ross, it's Quincy Jones. The production is like unmatched. It's all the things. So when I'm thinking about this new journey I'm finna take into marriage, I had to ease on down the road.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. That is beautiful. I didn't ask this, but I wish I did, so I'm gonna ask you now.
Come on.
Who taught you how to stitch?
My daddy taught me how to stitch.
Oh my gosh.
My daddy taught me how to stitch because in his day, like committing things to memory and elocution and just being all around equipped with everything that goes on around you in the world, you have to be prepared. So he taught me how to thread a needle, and we started on like buttons on his shirt, or we would change buttons out on a coat, or your sock get a little worn, we just gone whip stitch that up together, and it was fun. I felt like, I get to do something with my dad. And then when home ec was a thing, like back in the 90s, I really loved home ec when I was in junior high school, and it just kept growing. But I stitched mostly at home until this was offered when I was like a teenager.
I'm curious. Growing up, like for me, I never, even though art and music was something that I always gravitated towards, I always felt that it was more of a hobby than it was a profession. And with your background, like what helped you cultivate your artistry in your career and as a professional?
I'm still cultivating it, to be honest. I feel like every day is new because there are a few obstacles that I have to endure myself as a Black woman artist from the South. There's a certain level of respect that hasn't quite been given to fiber artists. People still think that it's more craft than fine. And I would say it could be all of the above, but mine comes from a deeply spiritual, divine, cultural place. And it's hard to explain that to somebody because everything is not for sale. So that's number one. I don't want to be commodified in my career. And I want to have the ability to collaborate and converse without being crushed into something that's not me. And I see a lot of people who have to do that to get a big contract or to get a distribution deal or to be on a circuit. And I'm just taking the low and slow approach to my art career. I'm just now maybe 6 or 7 years into the visual side. I've been a poet for almost 40 years now. So you think about it, as I get deeper into my 40s, because I'll be 42 this summer, it's happening. I do what I love every day. So I don't know, like, I have aspirations, but I'm not looking to hit a ceiling. I'm not looking to arrive. I'm looking forward to keeping the party going.
Ooh, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on
Every
now.
adventure this next is what I'm looking forward to. And I don't know what that looks like. So it's still evolving, and I'm happy in the place that it's in right now.
I'm happy too. I'm happy too. This isn't on script, but something is what caused you to like the cosmos? What caused you? Because that's when we first started talking, and you know, I asked you your zodiac very quickly, and my partner's a Leo too, so I'm like, yay, like you fire. But you have so much work that is also rooted, like as written in the stars. You have the zodiac. Like, what calls you to the cosmos?
I don't just belong to Earth. I belong to everything that exists, and that includes the stars. And I feel like whatever cosmic dust and primordial ooze, whatever bubbled together, everything and everyone who ever made me is inside of me. I feel my ancestors. I feel their messages coming through. This ain't even me. I mean, I made it, but this is everybody who ever was. So I feel something more than human. Human is like the avatar, but I really feel how spiritual I am. I feel myself being bigger than this skin. And so a lot of my work reflects that. It has to be bigger than where I'm at. That's why it's large. That's why it talks about these things, because I feel that. And even when I was working on Leo season, so it's a series of zodiac quilts that I have that I did last summer, I was evolving in real time. And it hit me when I got to Pisces. That's my grandmother's sign. She's born March 20th, first day of spring. Come on now. She's seasonal. She came in right on time. And when I got to that piece, the fabric I used was this batik that someone gifted me from Ghana after I came back from Ghana when I lived there in 2018. And it was on my wall. I was using it as wallpaper. And one day I was looking at this fabric on the wall, and I said, there's a woman in there. So I took her down and I made her. And I was like, yo, I had to go back and get all these messages, and I was just stitching it in the fabric. And I was saying, thank you, Leola. That's my grandmother's name. I was just saying, thank you, because it was coming to me so easily. How y'all doing? Welcome. It was coming to me so easily, and I feel like that's divine. So it has to be bigger than Earth. It can't just belong here.
I have to ask, because I resonate with you again so hard, and I wonder where if your ego plays a role in how you set it aside to create such big and spiritual work.
There can't be any ego involved. And even when I was walking in today, Robin was like, "Here's the star of the hour," and I'm like, "No." Like, no, don't.
The Leo sun, sun, a star,
You know,
what I'm saying? Big star,
It's all of that, but I am a star among many stars. We all twinkle and we all shine. Yeah. I'm not shining alone. You know what I'm saying? So I feel sometimes that shy part of me is like, no, don't look at me. But also I am that girl.
And
so just get into it a little bit.
And you
but
are.
Not too much.
That.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna tell you what keep me real humble though, outside of my own self. nieces and nephews.
Oh.
Kids will read you down, okay? And they will remind you that whatever you thought you were, you ain't. So when I talk to my nieces and they ask me questions or, they're curious about things, it's just a nice little reminder. It's like, I'm older than you, but I'm learning from you too. You here, I'm here, we're learning together. Yes. So that keep me real grounded, because I'm like, I can't be too far off over there and leave them behind. They're still investigating the world. I gotta you gotta be level-headed to bring people with you. So yeah, they're a good reminder for me.
Did you learn that when, like, the balance, being level-headed, was that something that you all, like, you were raised with, or did you have to learn how to
It was a hit
way?
or miss, because my dad was a gentle giant and my mom was different. She knucking and bucking and ready to fight. So
wait, tell us about her. Tell us about her.
What I will say I learned from my mom, because my mom is still alive, is that legit, because I'm soft. I'm very sensitive. I'm an empath. Like, I really have to, part of my rest is like protecting my energy, because I'll take too much on and be crying for like 2 days. I'm like, okay, I got to get my eyes back so I can stitch. But my mom, the part of me that I appreciate the most that I got from her is she did teach me how to fight. Like, for real. Maybe not like squaring up, even though she had squared up with some people, but like standing your ground and taking care of yourself and not let anybody railroad over you. Because she came up in the era that I love. She was born in the late 50s, grew up in the 60s and 70s. And like, that's the time that most resonates with me, even though I was born in the 80s. And the only thing I can figure is that it came from her. So even though we don't see eye to eye, we're not as close as I imagine, I love and respect her. And she is just from a time that I deeply resonate with. And that's because she went there first. And I came through her. So it's all good. I respect the vessel.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
My mom's in the room. I can relate to that too. You gotta have a fighter. You gotta have a person who, you got your gentleness, but obviously he was a fighter as well. And you gotta have somebody to be like, nah, like,
he fought in other ways. My dad would definitely take you to court, and my mom would take you outside. So
it's a perfect balance.
I mean, choose what you want.
Yeah. I love it. Well, we're gonna get into our next game.
Ooh, okay.
This is called This or That.
All right.
I'm gonna give you 2 choices.
I'm ready.
And I need you to pick one.
Ooh, it's gonna be hard. Okay, I'm ready.
It might be, it might not be.
Okay.
North Little Rock or Little Rock?
Little Rock. Okay. No shade, North Little Rock.
Okay.
No shade. I was born in Little Rock. It's legitimately no shade, because it's Bloods and Crips with it.
You know, whenever people, like, whenever I hear when I hear people from North Little Rock and Little Rock, I just, like, what's the difference?
because it was Argenta. So it became North Little Rock, like a sister city crossing the. This some old. It's too old, but it's like back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was mostly political, but they're a separate city. So even in their arts district, it's the Argenta Arts District, because that was the original name for the city. But somehow, in the midst of all of that, trying to coagulate things that just really needs to be on their side of the bridge, it caused confusion. North Little Rock is a beautiful city. Little Rock is a beautiful city. Yeah. But I'm from Little Rock, so that's why it's no shade.
Okay. Rooted.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it.
Uh-oh, I'm scared.
You don't be scared.
Okay.
Don't be scared. Fabric or the pen?
Why she do this to me? She been doing this to me.
You can only take one with you.
I'm going to take my pen.
I'm
going to take my pen.
Tell me why.
Because it really, truly is who I am. I don't even make a quilt without writing a poem or a short story. So it wouldn't be a quilt if I didn't write first.
You got me deep. I'm like meditating, deep breaths over here.
You made me go there.
Very nice.
I'm so sorry. I still love. Apologize to my quilt. I don't want her to get mad at me.
They understand. Studio or outdoors?
Like studio. Like what kind of studio? Because my husband's a musician, so like a studio, or like a in.
Studio where you like we do your art. You stitch at home
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, studio.
or studio.
Mhm.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Beautiful. Silence or sound?
Sound.
Juke joint or jazz lounge?
Juke jazz. Why you doing this?
Where they do that at?
I mean, really, I resonate with both. I'm gonna have to. I love jazz. I'm gonna have to go with the juke joint. I am. Put me in the hole, in the wall. Let me sweat. Let the music vibrate through me. Let me drink until my ankles are weak. Yes.
I love it. Okay, love that. Collard greens or cornbread?
They go together though.
I know. You gotta pick one. I know, this crazy. Why would I ask that?
Why would she ask me this? I'm gonna go collard greens only because green my favorite color, but they really do go together.
Do you do, okay, this is gonna sound crazy. You put sugar or hot sauce on?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce. I don't know why. I don't know why we did sugar.
I can understand the sugar.
I don't know why.
I understand it, but it's not for me.
I feel that.
But I do put sugar on my grits.
Okay. Sugar on my grits?
Yes.
Okay.
Any salt grits out there? It's okay.
It ain't for everybody.
I'm not even mad at you. But sugar and butter on the grits.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. We won't fight about it. We'll just eat our grits separately.
Okay. Like, put it in there. Sweet tea or coffee?
Ew, neither.
Oh, really? You know, not even. What about tea? Just tea, period.
I like hot tea.
Hot tea?
I don't like sweet tea.
What kind of tea do you drink?
I like raspberry leaf tea. I like hibiscus tea. I like black tea.
You into your health.
Yeah, I like
That's
tea.
right. Okay.
I don't like sweet tea though. Is that weird? Cause I'm from the South.
I think for the South, I think it is a. I don't want to say it's a stigma, but I think that people assume people in the South like.
I like
sweet
the
tea.
idea of sweet tea, but I don't like the taste of it.
I feel that. Altar or vision board?
Altar. An altar is a vision board.
I've never heard that. I feel called by that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What makes you say that though?
Because it's the conversations you have with yourself and everybody that keeps you. And there's no way to see what is before you if you can't honor what came before. So yeah, an altar is a vision board. Altar, definitely. I have altars everywhere in our house. Altar.
I'm glad we recording this because I'm gonna have to go back. It's like a sermon right now.
Yes.
Okay. Now, game's over.
Okay.
This or that. You passed.
That was a good game. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. I was scared though. Collard greens and cornbread still go together, but I'm gonna let you have it.
Okay. You had to pick. You picked one. Look.
Yes.
Okay. So, you talked about your father and your parents' history, and I'm curious, in your lifetime, what historical moment has been most pivotal or has shaped you in your work?
Like for my own self, or just in the world, or my brain went like 30,000 places.
It's okay. I would say in the world.
There are many, but there is a moment that bubbled up in my mind. It was when Trayvon Martin was murdered. I remember buying an Arizona, even though I don't like tea, I bought me an Arizona mango, and I bought me a bag of Skittles, and I went to our state capitol steps with my best friend, Natasha, and we sat there, and we screamed, and we cried, and I wrote poems. And after about 30 minutes, like 50 people showed up. There, people just didn't know what to do after the not guilty verdict came down. And it just felt like Trayvon Martin was our Emmett Till, that this young baby was murdered for nothing. And that was a pivotal moment. And I remember posting one of the poems that I wrote on Facebook, which I limit some of mine. It's too hard to manage World Wide Web .whatever .company, So there are a lot of things that I keep to myself, or it's like family business. Like right now, even though it's being recorded, we having a family conversation. We're in the room together right now. Anybody who's listening. But I posted one of the poems I wrote, and one of my friends reached out to me, and she's like, "They're gonna kill you. They're gonna put you in jail." And I was like, and? Because that's the price you pay when you say what you need to say at the moment it needs to be said. So I appreciated her being concerned about me going off, because I was going off, but also just the example of my parents and the world that I grew up in. I knew that I couldn't be quiet. Sometimes you be quiet because you planning, because you are organizing, because you're doing something else that will honor how to rectify, justify, move us further. And sometimes you just gotta say it loud. Yeah. So that was a very pivotal moment. It was the first one that came to mind. I mean, so many people have been murdered, and there have also been some victorious moments in life, in my personal life. But that just hurt me that baby was killed like that. That hurt me, and it still hurts me. Yeah. So that's one that I feel like, and because it was the pen, so sorry, girls. I did a lot of writing. I have a lot of poems that immortalize people. I won't say memorialize, because in a way, everybody who is here is still here.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Curious, what does radical justice mean to you, and how does it show up in your work?
Came in the door waving a fofo. All you heard was "Papa, don't hit me no more." I believe, the most radical thing you can do is be yourself. Let's start there, because however you're approaching anything, you have to show up as you and not be worried, not be afraid, not be self-conscious. I just don't.
Keep it real.
Insert what I don't give when it comes to these situations. And even I'll be on a meeting and Quincy be like, "You do not be code switching. Like, you really up here quoting Biggie at 9 a.m. I'm like, yeah, I really am on this call with 50 people, because that's what the moment called for. And for the 3 or 4 people who catch it, and I'm like, yeah, we in the DM on the Zoom, like, yeah, this is going to be a good meeting. You know what I'm saying? It's like, those are the moments. And to not be afraid to stand up for people, because everybody is in a different place in their journey, and they might not be ready. I don't think it has anything to do with bravery or where your level of courage is. You might not be ready to go there, and you just need somebody to show you that there can be gone too. That's the Southwest CC. Like, we can have a conversation. So I feel like being radical is being bold in who you are, standing up for yourself, standing up for other people, and not being afraid to do it, because it can be scary. And just by doing it, it's like, well, I'm not that afraid of anything. And then I have to take my daddy's approach when he says, I'm not afraid of anything that walks, swims, or flies. That's anything. That's a bee. That's an alligator. That's a man. That's a woman. That's a dog. That's a cat. That's a chicken. That's a duck. A hamster. A gerbil. An aardvark. Okay? You just choose what it is. Okay? We not scared to do what needs to be done. And I feel like that's the part of my father that I miss the most, because he used to check my younger brother and I out of school, and we would go to court with him down to Pulaski County Courthouse and like see him try cases, or just sometimes you're seen by the judge. Sometimes it's not a trial. Sometimes you just go before the judge and you get a new date set. You know, it's a lot of legalese. And I just used to be so in awe the way he commanded attention and the respect of people just by showing up. Sometimes radical justice is just showing up. So I'm carrying that, And as it changes, because I used to just go to the Capitol steps and scream or post a lot of things that were, though they were justified, very inflammatory. And I'm in a space right now in my age, in my career, and my understanding of my power, how to use that. I don't always have to be loud and I don't always have to be quiet. And I know when and when not to exert the energy and power I have to deal with the situation. That's radical justice.
Can I give it up for that? You really, especially in a space in Northwest Arkansas where respectability is so normal. I think now more than ever, and then people are afraid to say certain words, whether it comes to diversity or being black or being queer. Like hearing that for me is inspiring because you're basically saying who you are will open doors. You don't have to continue to conform when it doesn't call for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, switching gears a little
Yes,
bit.
in the gear switch.
So you stitch stories.
Yes.
You write stories.
Yes.
How does a person who doesn't consider themselves an artist, and this could be for black culture, black history, how do we preserve our history and our stories, especially during a time where some people are afraid to talk about it?
Fear is a part of it. It is scary when you're being hunted. It is scary when you're being oppressed. It is scary when you're being rejected. It is scary when every day you live is a life of survival and not ease. That is scary. Like, everybody has the right to be scared. Everybody. Because nobody should be living like that. You shouldn't wake up and think like, is this the day somebody is going to end my life? Yeah. That's not how we should be living. And a lot of people do. And it's an unfortunate situation. I think that whatever it is you do, you as in the general you, that's the thing that's going to get us to the other side. If you are a dentist and you making sure everybody is cute in the mouth, then that's what you do. Like, that's a part of your ministry. You know what I'm saying? If you are a musician and you compose and you play or you tour, you record, whatever it is, if you're bringing some beauty and some relief to somebody's life, that's what we do. Sometimes it don't have to be that hard. Because really, I be fighting for justice. Like, that's the work of an activist. I'm only fighting so I don't have to fight no more. Yeah. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to stitch these quilts and write these poems and make dinner for my husband and fly to see my nieces and lay in the grass and thump the ants off my toes. Like, I want to live a soft, beautiful, easy life. But that is not going to happen in the way that I imagine it in this lifetime. And I'm okay with that because I know that behind me, somebody else is going to have a soft, beautiful, easy life. I don't know how far behind, because even right now, the world that we're in, these 80 babies, we was in Cold Wars, real wars, Gulf Wars, gang wars. We have seen a lot of people die. In our lifetime, if you were blessed enough to live it. Whenever my next adventure begins, when this avatar is done, and I'm off to my celestial travels, I hope that what I'm doing is enough. Whatever is inside of you, that's enough. My father came to Fayetteville, had glass Coke bottles thrown at his head. He couldn't participate in anything. He was threatened out the wazoo, got into a lot of physical altercation situations because people didn't like him because he was black. That was it. He wasn't rude. He wasn't mean. He ain't talk bad about nobody. He ain't do nothing to nobody family. He was black, trying to get his law degree. That was the end. And here we are, over a half a century later. It took some time, but the reception that I have is much warmer than my father because he already eased on down the road. He already cleared the path for this exact moment to happen, where I wouldn't have to deal with somebody spitting on me or pushing me down the hill or throwing objects to break my skin open or cause me injury just for existing. He already did that, so I could just sit here and talk to you. So I hope that what I am doing will give my nieces and my nephews and anybody who is, you born after 83, that's my marker. I'm older than you from there. Where we help each other get to where we're going. It's not going to happen for me the way I imagine it. The world is too complicated right now. And like I said, I'm okay with that because I wake up ready to fight. I'm like, you ready to fight? We just finna go there today. You finna get this Harriet Tubman quilt. I'm finna talk about you. Okay, don't turn back. So, you know, that's a part of my ministry. But hopefully for my godchildren, nieces, nephews, that when they inherit these quilts and they sitting on whatever pile of money I leave for them, if they want to throw this on their bed, put it in a museum, sell it to an auction house, a collector, take it on the road, hang it off the side of the Grand Canyon, I don't care. That this is something that's setting them up for their easy life. And me working a hard life is worth it. Because it was easy enough for me. So many people already did the hard part. I can do my little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the space to express that.
Absolutely. Something that you and I had talked about literally a couple days ago as I was researching your father. You know, I noticed that the University of Arkansas was one of the first institutions in the South to desegregate. Your father was a part of the Little Rock Nine. And I was like, I didn't realize that Arkansas was such a trailblazer in the South. And then when you look at the state of today, when it comes to food insecurity, housing insecurity, health insecurity, it's a lot of stuff that we ranked high for a lot of stuff we don't need to be ranked for. I don't want to say don't need to be.
Well,
I'm like, that education levels, it's a lot. So I'm wondering, in the midst of that kind of polarization, you know, what do you believe Arkansas is doing right as a trailblazer? And what do you think Arkansas is missing to continue to make progress?
I think what we're doing right is the work of liberation will always happen where the people are most oppressed. That's where we need the liberation work to occur. So there are a lot of organizations, freedom fighters, aunties that lead a pie on the porch, just come get a slice. There are a lot of people doing what they do to make Arkansas a beautiful place. Now, the one thing I don't want nobody to come after me now, but I'm going to say it. The one thing she needs to do as a state that will really push us forward is that our state needs to issue reparations. People need an opportunity.
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
I'm with you.
My grandmother, okay, the woman who had me, picked cotton in Pelahatchie, Mississippi, came to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, because she didn't want to pick cotton no more, and ended up working 4 and 5 jobs, raising her children and her younger siblings. She had everybody on her back and no support. For people, and it's a lot of people, it ain't just black folks that built this country. Now, we was definitely up in there building a lot of stuff. We built this city, okay? So for people who have laid the groundwork to build a place that experiences so much wealth, and particularly in this state, a lot of wealth, a lot of leisure, a lot of open spaces, a lot of industry, a lot of golf, a lot of chicken, a lot of, it's a lot of things that this state experience. Chicken, y'all like that? Get your chicken here. Literally, okay? Literally get your chicken here. It's some money here for people who don't have broadband, who don't have paved roads, who don't have a source to water, to have access to those things. We talking about basic human needs. Very basic. We not talking about a mansions. I'm not letting my special field order go. I do want my 40 acres, and I do want a mule. You know what I'm saying? She's going to be cute. I won't work her. We'll just sit on the porch together and drink lemonade. It's going to be real sweet. I'm going to be having an indigo pit in the yard so I can dye my fabrics and make my quilts.
Yeah.
I want my space. I want
manifest.
I want a 40-acre quilt. Yeah. I see that. Everybody come to the farm. We all just have collard greens and cornbread together.
Okay.
And Kool-Aid on my 40 acres.
Yes.
I see it one day, but I think that our state has the space, the industry, and known as a place where liberation has occurred to make reparations happen for people who built this state. That's what she missing. She missing everybody having the money they supposed to have. Yeah. But I ain't got no money. So if I had it, I just make it rain on Arkansas real quick. And maybe one day I will. And that's what I work on, is that, like, you have to repair the harm. That's what we can't get over. Because you're still hurting us. Right. How do you stop the hurt, repair the harm, and everybody can have an opportunity at the soft, easy life that they want? Yeah. At least a life without so much struggle. Yeah. I don't be pumping no well water at 5 a.m. That's hard. Yeah. Then you gotta boil it. I mean, I don't know if anybody has experienced well water. It's a lot. Okay, I'm just saying it's a lot of work. Yeah. In the age that we're in, where people don't have to work that hard to exist. Right. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. And I wonder, because I know you had said that you believe that Arkansas can be a cultural mecca in the South.
Yes.
Is it for those reasons, or do you believe there's more that makes this place, that makes that possible in the South?
Well, as I work on the road less traveled on Ode to the Green Book, something that my husband so eloquently said that will not leave me is that we travel through our pain. And every place that we as Black people go, because I got a few places on my list while I'm in Fayetteville. I'm going to go see my daddy's plaque at the university. I'm going to go see the Six Pioneers Room. That every place we go, it's a pilgrimage to where our pain occurred. And that you have to go there and you have to see what happens, because you have to honor the people who came before. So there are so many people that came before that really literally laid their lives on the line so we can exist with some air of confidence that we don't walk out the door and something terrible will happen to us. That I feel being on this path is just paying honor to that. Arkansas is a place where so much happened. We entered the Union as a slave state in 1836. I could go on and on. I'm not going to go down my history road, but just know your history. Look into some Arkansas history.
You keep going.
About how we entered into the Union, how we have treated people. I'm talking about all kind of people live in Arkansas. We got Marshallese, we got Asian, we got African. We have like nations and associations of ethnicities from all over the world right here in Arkansas. That's what I'm saying, being a cultural mecca. A lot of stuff has gone down here, and there are so many stories to tell. So when people come here, they have something to experience. And not just the pain, but hopefully how we all crossed over. That's the part I'm trying to get to. How do we get over this? But we can't get over this until you give us our money. We can't get over this until you respect us, our language, our dress, our education, our style, our culture. We can't get over this if you keep rejecting us in spaces that we have the divine right to be in, there's a lot of work to be done, but it's being done and it's happening here. So I believe that day will come. I hope I get to see it. I want to live until I'm 100. I'm working on it. It's just quite a ways away. But even if I don't see it, I know that it will come.
Yes, it will. That will be done. I'm curious with where we are, and I know we're not going to talk politics. We're not going to talk it. But I am curious with especially what's going on with this week, what's been going on since for years, but since January. Do you take the time to be aware? Do you ignore it? Like how do you navigate and stay so focused, knowing what's being attempted or actually taken away during these times?
It's the perceived power that some people empower. Power. What does that even mean? Um, I control me. The only thing that I own in this world is my name. I'm making it, this ain't even gonna belong to me when I'm not here anymore. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I own in this world is CC Mercer Watson. And I can share that with people. I have to jump in and jump out the double dutch and what's going on because it sometimes it's too much, but you can't tap completely out because somebody is banking on that one person who really cares to stop caring. And then that's when it all falls to the wayside. Yeah. So I care enough to be involved, to be informed, and to have whatever conversations I'm having about what's going on in the world. But I also care enough to be about my business because my business is writing poems and stitching quilts and telling Black stories. That's all I can do to save the world. There's nothing else I have in me that's going. I'm not on the pretty teeth committee. I go to the dentist, but I'm not a dentist. You know what I'm saying? I'm not writing no songs. I got Quincy for that. You know what I'm saying? He's the musician. I'm doing my part to keep our stories alive. And though it affects so many people, like in the day-to-day, every day of my life, I really have to focus on my purpose because some of the insolence that is happening right now might drive one to the brink. You know what I'm saying? And I have to be in control of myself. So I focus on what I'm doing and I understand what's going on and help where I can. That's the short of it. Because these are nauseating times. Yeah. When they say these are treacherous times, no, I really want to sometimes I'm physically ill that people can treat anybody less than. Yeah. That's not cool. Yeah. So I'm treating people more than because y'all deserve it. Yeah. Everybody deserves to be loved. And I'm being about my business.
Period.
Yes.
Unapologetic.
Yes.
Love that. Love that. We got about 20 more minutes. And I definitely want to give our audience, if they have any questions, I want them to ask. But I want to know, how can we support you in your work? Is there anything, any calls to action, anything that we can do to further shine your light? And how can we do that?
Thank you. Well, support Robin first, because she the one who brought me here. So let's support Robin and her set, her sound, for even curating events like this. That supports me when I'm working with people who are doing the work, to support them too. So that's number one. I have many ways where you can find me in the digital space, where you can just follow what it is I'm doing. I don't be posting that much because I be stitching, so you're going to catch some every once in a while. But regularly enough where you can definitely follow the odyssey of what's going on. I'm building my nonprofit, A Black Space, to really preserve our ancestral craft and our oral tradition, which poetry is a part of that, and just culture bearing. And that's whatever culture you subscribe to. For me, it's Black culture because that's the culture I was born into. But supporting the Black space and all of those endeavors. And the thing that really could support me the most, because it's the mission that I'm on, is like to pay honor to your ancestors, to remember your stories and to tell them to anybody who will listen, because that is a part of our human experience, but it's a part of our divinity as well, that we are connected to everybody that came before. So it's like, not buy my book and get my thing. I mean, it's stuff out there. You can do that, but everything is not for sale, especially my soul. So I just want us to stay connected to our stories and our people. And that's what can support me most, because that's the type of work that really helps me tap into what it is that I do.
And one more time, where can could you have some exhibits out right now?
Yes.
So
So if you're in Little Rock, I drove 3 hours. You can do it too.
Yeah.
If you're in Little Rock, at Mosaic Templars Cultural Center, is at the corner of 9th and Broadway in Little Rock, Arkansas. My exhibition, It Was Written in the Stars, is up through August 16th. So there's plenty of time to see it. Pick a weekend, take a day off work, call your friends in the surrounding tri-state areas. Go see it. It really is phenomenal work, and it's the largest body of work that I've stitched to date. And if you're in Minnesota, now it's a little further. You might want to fly because I'm driving. But if you're in Minnesota, or if you have friends who are in the area in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Sioux Visual Arts Center, my show, The Road Less Traveled, an Ode to the Green Book, is opening on May 10th. So it's right around the corner. Like, I will leave here tomorrow and go back home and start stitching. Well, continue, because I've already started. And it will be up through June 28th. So a shorter run time, but definitely worth seeing. And this piece will be there along with so many others that I'm creating to follow this journey of us and how we travel through our pain.
Ooh, well, I can y'all give it up one more time for CC Mercer Watson? I'm taking deep breaths because I feel so much relief and so much ease. And I just, again, thank you for sharing your story and sharing your work and the heart of your work, because you are doing phenomenal things. You've been doing phenomenal things for creatives of color, for Arkansas people, for artists. And I see you national. You gonna be national. You already national. First of all, you already national. So thank you again for this space and time, for you being here. Do we have any questions? And if you would like, you can stay right there, or you can go over there. Whatever you want.
Okay, I think y'all.
We can hear you.
So I'm from Fayetteville.
Yes.
And I wish I had known that when I came in. Because my family, is part of the community that did embrace. Do you have any stories from your dad that he recalls, or any names of people that he stayed with when he was here?
So Mrs. Joyner had a boarding house. Is that name familiar?
No, but
It could be, don't quote me.
That's okay.
Could be. There was a boarding house, South Fayetteville, I believe, where most of the pioneers were staying. Silas Hunt passed away shortly after him enrolling from injuries that he had suffered during the Battle of the Bulge. So he was dealing with some war injuries, and he ended up passing away. So my dad stayed there. Wiley A. Brenton Sr. and Judge Branton, who passed away not too long ago, was a baby. And my dad used to babysit him, like, when they had different class schedules. So my dad used to babysit Judge Branton, which is kind of cute because I always knew him as Judge. I'm just like, hi, Judge. But, he's somebody's baby, and he was my daddy's baby at that time. So that was like a part of their community where they were with each other's families. And then one of my dad's really good friends that he met here in Fayetteville, now he white, but he is so down, who also passed away in recent years, but I love him so much. My Uncle Miller Williams, if you're familiar with, educator, poet, just a phenomenal man. And one of those days, somebody was throwing glass Coke bottles at my daddy's head when he was walking off campus, trying to get off campus before the sun set. Miller was with him, and they hit Miller in the back of his head and busted his head open. So once they, got him patched up and went away, and this was like late in life. Miller Uncle Miller told me this story close to my father's passing. I didn't even know this growing up. But anyway, he was just like, I knew that day me and your dad were brothers. It's like, I ain't never been hit in the back of the head like that. But he was one of the students, and at the time he was here, my dad became a Presbyterian because the Presbyterian Church had lunch on Wednesdays, and like they were the only organization that was one of the only kind to the African American students, and Miller was part of that, and they were just friends their whole life long. So I like those moments where my dad had like a little relief from all of the melee. And just being a part of, that there was a place where they could go because they couldn't live on campus. So being in that community. We will talk. Thank you for your question. Yes.
I know we're not talking politics, but I guess these are peculiar times. So how do you see the current era impacting your work, and if it's going to make any difference to how you approach your work, and if it will, how do you plan to navigate that, I guess?
So the current era of politics and how it will affect my work. Well, the current era is very similar to the era of antiquity. So it's affecting my work now because I'm telling stories older than today because they look just like today. I mean, it could be 1897 or 2025. It's the same story. Insert tyrannical person who wants to rule the world and oppress everybody else just so they can sit on their pile of money while everybody grovels for whatever is left, and we have to navigate that part of our survival. It's the same story. So the stories that I'm telling of old are definitely stories of today. And I think it's only fueling us remembering this already happened. Let it not happen again. How do we move from this continuously happening to us? So that's a part of my work that I'm deeply investigating right now. And someone did ask me, like, oh, are you getting any pushback? I'm like, who gonna push me? It's not a fight you want.
Who gonna check me, boo? Who gonna check you?
Who gonna check me, boo? Thank you, Sheree. So yeah, like this Harriet Tubman piece, oh, she bad. And I just like, if you turn around, I will shoot you because you're not gonna jeopardize my freedom. So a lot of people, now I'm not gonna shoot anybody. I'm talking about Harriet Tubman. I don't own a gun. Violence is not my way. I got some needles though, but it's not my way. I feel like telling those stories is a part of that. But also, I want to do a quilt of like me riding on a unicorn because I watched Legend and it really changed my world. I want to do something that just has everything to do with my happiness. But right now, I know I'm telling ugly stories in a beautiful way. So until the world changes, those are the stories I have to tell. And I'll stitch unicorns later, I guess.
That's all right. It's a time and a place.
You know what? Harriet Tubman on a unicorn. Okay, we just arrived at something. Thank you for that question. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your question. Do y'all have any other questions?
My mom is still living. She lives in Little Rock. She likes to travel. So usually I'm crossing paths with her in New York when I'm going to see my nieces / her grandbabies or any of her first cousins. And she has a few that are still alive. She's usually hanging out with them in Mississippi. So.
She from Mississippi. Yeah.
You just gotta let it be free.
Right.
Yes.
Don't be sorry. Any other questions?
Yeah.
You guys want babies of your own, or is your work your baby?
I have had difficulties having babies. I've had several miscarriages. and we do want babies of our own. But I know that as the divine mother I am, I will give birth to many things. So right now, these quilts and these poems and our dog and our nieces and our nephews are our babies. And if biological children or babies, how they come, when they want to, if that doesn't happen for us, I'm just now arriving at the point where I am satisfied with that in my life. Because that's where it is. I've had a lot of surgeries, so it's a lot of difficulty, and a lot of that shows up in my work too. If you ever get an opportunity to go to the Ledger, I don't know their policy. I know they got a fob and you got to have a membership, but there's a room called the Mercer. And when they first opened, I was one of the artists that they commissioned to do a quilt. And I was just, different mediums. It's beads, it's paintings, it's all kind of beautiful things in there. So I did a quilt called Leo Rising. And it's Middle Passage, no surprise. Journey from the Middle Passage to the natural state. And the central figure in the quilt, if we have a daughter, we want to name her Leo because I'm a Leo, and my grandmother's name was Leola. So really homage to my grandmother and my sign, like, you know, this daughter belongs to her mother's. And when I see that quilt, it just gives me so much joy because I really am praying and weaving and mending and stitching and asking for things as I stitch. Stitching is a prayer. And so these are things that I do long for, but I'm happy with anything that comes because as you see, it's a lot of birthing going on.
My grandmother quilts, so to see your beautiful stitching, it just reminds me of her. She's suffering with bone cancer, and she has been for like 7 years. But I think that's something that brings light to her life.
Yes.
And just looking at your work, it's gorgeous. So thank you for coming up here and sharing your story with us.
Yes, thank you for your question, and just much love to your grandmother as well, because that is the archetype of this work. I'm just the prototype.
Okay. Emma?
We have time for one more.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Thank you.
Hey, Christine.
Hey.
Are you busy the week of Juneteenth?
Yes, I have a program in Mosaic.
Your availability when you get off stage?
Yes, we can connect. I know. We've been trying to. I got you, Emma.
Sorry, okay, one more. I think Paige.
I was just curious if you exhibit your poetry with your textbooks.
I do. So usually there's vinyl lettering on the wall or some way to QR code into the words. You can read it on your own. And there have been instances like right before we started, it didn't have any work specifically attached to it, even though I stitched in Ghana, but my poetry EP, Black Glow Matters, was playing, and all of the interludes were oral histories from my dad. So the poetry is very much a part of the exhibition space as well.
I'm gonna share Black Glow Matters. You can also find it on all streaming platforms too, but it's actually a very special and beautiful 23-minute video. So I'll share that. Hopefully y'all sign up with our newsletter because I'm gonna do a recap and you can find. I'll put her socials and her links in there. But it's closing time.
Hey.
I want y'all to give it up for CC one more time.
Thank you.
If you aren't following her, you can follow her at CC Mercer TOO.
Yes, CC Mercer too. That's CCMercerToo.
And thank you guys again.
Yes.
I'm not gonna share that yet. Yeah.
But I'm
Just
here.
Be on the lookout.
I'll hang for a bit. I'm gonna honor Harrison's request. And also my husband's reminded me there are enamel pins that are my signature Duafe that has my image, and it's on all of my artwork for sale in the back. No press. Just hang for a bit. Thank you all so much.
Thank y'all.